Right then, guys, it has been a while since I've done a serving video. We're about to revolutionize a beginner's serving because serving is the hardest part in this sport, and we need to learn how we can do it a little bit better. So, I'm going to go through some very, very simple things today. Do a little bit of practice serving in the background, so there are a few balls, but it's some very simple stuff. So, what we struggle to do as beginners or youngsters these days, we don't go out and throw or kick balls with our friends at the park. It's all structured sessions. So let's revisit how we would throw a tennis ball. Our serve action as we hit our ball is very similar to how we throw. So think about how we're going to get the most power out of it. So if I have, for example, a high elbow, I'm not going to transfer as much effort because I have limited my movement. So this is my quite pathetic throw of my high elbow, just about clearing the net. Whereas if I have a low elbow and do the same thing, not much effort, and I'm just past the baseline. So just the sheer difference in that is massive. Now, that is what your serving arm or your racket arm is doing. So the better you are at throwing, the more fluid your throw is, the better it can be. So if I was to hit a serve, I've got a low elbow, throw the ball up, and that's where I hit. Nice little bit of power. At this point, we're not looking at it for it going in. So the next part is the actual throw itself as you're throwing the ball up. Now, there are, I think, 8 or 9 different ways this can go wrong. So you have the height of release, so that's your first one. Bending your elbow is number 2. Flicking your wrist as you throw is number 3. Thumb is 4, and the other 4 fingers makes 8. Now 9 is if the rest of the body moves. You want to be nice and steady when you throw. Now when I throw, I'm looking to keep my arm, again, nice and straight. My release level is around my eye. Now the reason that is to keep the ball going straight up in the air. If I release too early, the ball is going to travel too far forwards. I'm going to foot fault, and 2, I'm going to struggle to make consistent contact. If I'm too late and it's above my eye level, it's going to go behind me, and I'm going to again struggle to find any consistency and get the ball in. So, first 2 stages. Your third stage, as a beginner, it's hard to have a consistent swing, so we need a consistent ready position. Now, the way I do this with beginners is I go for the celebration of Usain Bolt. So, sprinter, if you know him. If you don't, have a little Google once you've watched this video, but you'll get the idea. So, this is my racket arm. My racket arm, as Usain Bolt, he comes here. There's a little bit of a knee bend, but we don't need the knee bend. And his other arm, so his weaker arm or his throwing arm in tennis terms, is like this. So that's the Usain Bolt. So we're going to now transfer that into a tennis setting. So, just like the throw I explained a couple of minutes ago, you're going to have a low elbow, and you want your racket either above your head or next to your head. Just make sure it's not too low, otherwise that racket's going to spank you in the face. So, let's go for this action. So it's there. That's the action you're wanting. The reason the second Usain Bolt part is important is because your arm needs to follow through. So the faster my arm goes, the higher my ball goes. If I go nice and slow, that's the height of my ball. Now if I go faster, the ball goes a little bit higher. But I'm again wanting to throw my racket at the ball to enable me to hit the ball. So for me to be able to do that, I need to be able to know how high I reach. So very easy tell. There you go, easy. Bingo. So I need my ball to go, when I'm throwing, above that. Not bad. So we're now going to add that all together. as I throw that ball up. I've got into my Usain Bolt with my elbow being low. Throw that ball up really well, and I strike that ball above my head. Nice, easy power. So, really simple. Now, the reason a lot of coaches will teach their players to do that and get themselves into the Usain Bolt, but that's for a beginner. We're looking to keep things simple, looking to keep things compact. That is the main idea. So, positioning wise, we've spoken about the actual serve, but I've not spoken about what the feet do or what the legs do. So, there are two ways you can do this. It is very much up to your personal preference. Now, I go quite side on. So I go pointing a little bit in front of the baseline, my feet. So my front foot, my left foot, because I'm right-handed, goes a little bit pointing in front of the baseline. Now, some people naturally will struggle to rotate. So I always get their front foot pointing towards the opposite net post. So if it's my left foot in front as a right-hander, it is pointing towards the right net post. Now, if I was to serve on the other side, same thing. My left foot pointing towards the right net post. If I suddenly change hands, my right foot's now in front. My right foot, points towards the left net post. And if I go and serve on the other side, the same thing applies. Right foot, left net post. Nice way to remember it. Whatever foot is in front, you're looking at the other side's net post. Right foot, left net post, left foot, right net post. So, now the hitting motion itself. How do we hold the racket? So I've done a serve, not told you how to hold the racket yet. Isn't either called the continental grip, you'll hear that on TV quite a lot, or the simple one which I like to use, the chopper grip. Think about holding a knife. How do you hold a knife? Where does the blade go? The blade goes down. Now, I want my frame to point down. So that is my grip. Another simple way to do it is get your left hand and hold this little triangle bit called the throat. Find the bridge between your index finger and your thumb. Ride it down the frame, and that is the grip you find yourself in. Now, if I was to just try and serve with this grip, that is what my racket's going to look like. I need to twist my racket face to point in the direction that I want. Now, if I was to do that in a throw, you naturally don't know it. As I throw, I'm in my chopper grip, and my wrist comes round. So it goes there, and my wrist comes round. That's why you see a bit of spin as you throw the ball usually. So, that is why the throw is so similar. So I'm going to go into my Usain Bolt, a twist, and I get some decent power out of it. So, some very simple points. I'm just going to let you watch a few serves, and it's important to have a look. I'm going to list all the places. So, let's do the setup first. So, I am right-handed. My left foot is going to point towards the net post, and I'm going to just get a nice steady base. Next, I need a ball. I'll grab one in my pocket. I'm then going to get ready into my racket hand Usain Bolt position. So, low elbow, racket just above my head or behind my head. When I throw, I release at eye level to get it up, and depending on how high I want it will depend on how fast my arm goes. So there you go, that's the setup, and then let's hit it. And then I use a throwing action. Now, that ball toss was slightly too low, slightly too far behind me, which meant I've released the ball a little bit too late. We get the ball more in front of me that time. The serve is quite a bit better. First it went over, second it went in. That is a very, very simple version of a serve. It stops you as a beginner from too many variables stopping you. Keeps it as simple as we can and gives you an effective serve. So I'm going to do one from each side now, just to kick off. So there, nice little elbow. And then do one on the other side. Now, I'm hitting that quite hard. You might not look it on the camera. I'm giving that some welly, and I'm not even using legs. I'm not making it complicated. So, few things there. First thing, how you hold your racket. Chopper grip, continental grip. Your knife blade needs to point towards the floor. How you hold a knife. Second thing, how you start the serve. Where does your start position go? Low elbow, Usain Bolt. Number 3, how do we throw the ball? Everything stays straight, release at eye level. We're not flicking the wrist, we're not letting the ball roll off our fingers. So, there we go, and then we go feet wide. If you don't mind a bit of rotation, go side on. If you'd like a little bit less rotation, your front foot, depending on which hand you are, if I'm a right-hander, my left foot is in front, which means my foot needs to be pointing more towards the right-hand side net post. If I was to be a left-hander, my right foot is now in front, and that would be pointing towards the left net post. Then, unfortunately, you've got to then put it all together. Now, I can't do that for you. If it was that easy, I'd be out of a job. But I hope that was helpful for you. I will see you in the next video. We'll do a little bit more serving, and we could even venture into the ground strokes. Take it easy. Luke is out.